Good evening. This is Rosario Martinez with the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program. I am pleased to present to the Coastal Bend Bays Foundation audience an update on one of the estuary program's projects. So this is the Nueces Bay Rookery Islands habitat restoration. But first, let me just give you guys an introduction to the estuary program. Most of you guys already know us, but the mission of the estuary program is the implementation of the Bays Plan, which identifies specific actions and goals that benefit the Bay system and the users of the Bay. We are a 12-county region. From the north side is the San Antonio Bay, and then all the way down to the land cut. So the Bays Plan has different focus areas: fish and wildlife conservation, public access, habitat protection, monitoring and research, environmental education, water quality, and maritime commerce. And so we have projects that are in all of these focus areas. The estuary program is a nonprofit, non-regulatory volunteer partnership. We have funding agencies through the federal government, the Environmental Protection Agency, state government, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. We're also funded through local private industries and through the local governments, the counties and the municipalities of the area. So this project focuses on 5 Rookery Islands on the back side of Nueces Bay off of White's Point, and you can see the islands on the bottom right picture. They are small, but they're very important. The estuary program partnered with the Texas General Land Office back in the early 2000s, and we installed geotextile tubes around the islands, which are these large sediment-filled sacks that protect the islands from wind and wave erosion. It's not a permanent solution, but it does give it protection for a number of years. And so over time, these geotubes have failed in some locations. So the estuary program started seeking funds to provide a more permanent solution for these important Rookery Islands. Historically, Rookery Islands and Nueces Bay have supported nesting colonies of various species of colonial waterbirds, such as the great blue herons, the snowy egrets, roseate spoonbills, reddish egrets, Caspian terns, and black skimmers. The decline of the colonial waterbird nesting populations in Nueces Bay is directly related to the loss of these important islands. In the early 1960s, early surveys indicated that 42 islands existed within the Bay system, but by 1980, surveys indicated that the number of islands was around 24. So, and then since then, many of the islands have been eroded by waves, currents, and storm events, leaving few remaining emergent islands. And so, since the loss of these islands in Nueces Bay, colonial waterbird populations in the area have experienced a catastrophic decline, which makes it imperative that we protect these islands. In 1976, the number of nesting pairs in the Bay system was estimated to be around 3,800, and then by 2009, the number of nesting pairs decreased to 59. So the helping restore these Rookery Islands will reestablish a healthy waterbird population in the coastal bend and Texas as well. So here's a picture of island number 1. So all these islands are named island 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's very creative at the estuary program. So this picture was taken in 2016. So all of the geotubes have failed on this island, and you can see that the shoreline is eroding. This is one of the larger islands out of the 5, and it does have some vegetation on it, So again, the goal of the project was to protect this island and enhance it, make it more resilient, and expand it as well. So here's island number 2. One of the geotubes has sunken. You can see that on the right. Again, this is one of the larger islands as well. Island number 3 is one failed and one sunken geotube. You can see the one failed is in the foreground of the picture. It's flat as a pancake. And then the other one, you can see one of the geotubes is partially sunken. Island number 4. Island number 4 and 5 are the smaller of the islands. The geotubes are all intact on this island, but you can see the sediment is washing away in the gaps between the geotubes. Island number 5, you have one failed geotube and one sunken geotube as well. So it was important for the estuary program to protect these islands. So we were able to secure funding for all 5 islands. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures of the construction. We started construction in late November 2019 and then completed it in June 2020. We needed an experienced contractor for this project. The water is very shallow out in this area, and there's pipelines all over the place. So the barges that they used were loaded very lightly. It was interesting to see a large barge with a small amount of rock on it, but that's just the way they had to do it. So you can see here they are placing the rock. You can see the turbidity curtain around the islands as well. Here's another picture of them placing rock. This was a calm day, which was very out of the ordinary. Usually it was very choppy out on the project site. Here's again another picture of just the progress that was occurring. Here is island number 2. They're just placing the rock around the perimeter of the island. The geotubes that were there on the that were still intact, we just opened them up and used the sediment so that wasn't gone to waste. Here is island number 3, and we are placing the sediment behind the rock. So this would allow for the island to be elevated and provide more resiliency for any kind of storm events and actually sea level rise as well. And so the filter fabric, which is that black sheets, you can see they were placed underneath the fill to provide more stability. And we also did that for the rock as well. There's the filter fabric underneath the rock. So here are some pictures of the completed islands. Here is island number 1. So you can see the rock around the perimeter. We placed topsoil on this island. The plan is to go back and plant native shrubs and vegetation for the birds. Some of the birds like a little higher elevation, so we're planting some shrubs. You can also see that we installed some nesting platforms on this island, and the birds were taking to it right away, which was nice to see. Here's island number 2. Here we used a different top layer. We used a crushed rock, very finely crushed rock. It was to mimic the shell hash that is normally found on these islands, and so some of the birds like this type of substrate. So we're definitely going to be monitoring these islands to see how everything progresses. Here's island number 3. we installed, again, the rock around it, and we put in the topsoil, so it's rich in organic material. So hopefully the plants, once we plant them, will do well on the island. Here's island number 4, one of the smaller islands. We used, again, the crushed rock, and we also, there was a lot of oyster shell material that was on the island. We were able to scoop it to the side during construction and then place it again on top of the island, so we wouldn't waste that native substrate. And we did the same thing for island number 5. So total construction cost was $4.4 million to restore the 5 Rookery Islands, which is a little over 3 acres. Again, that sounds like a lot of money, but this was or is critical nesting habitat for the colonial waterbirds in our area. So the benefits are great. The productivity should increase, and like I said, we will be monitoring these islands to see what happens. I'm very excited about it. I'm glad to see this project complete, and we have several project partners: the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, the Port of Corpus Christi, the Texas General Land Office, and the Coastal Conservation Association. So this is a picture of island number 3 during construction when they were placing the topsoil. And then this is a picture of the completed island, which I showed you earlier in the presentation. I do have a video, but I don't know if I can play it. I don't think I can right now, so maybe I can play it after this presentation. I'm not sure. This was filmed during construction, so it just gives a little bit more detail and more visuals to the project. But with that, I will take any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.